and welcome to another episode of Inspired Women Gathering. This is a show that talks about all things from life, relationships, spirituality, business, and everything in between. Women are so inspiring, living through their stories, finding resilience, resourcefulness, tenacity, and the powerful movement that we make in the world. I love connecting and having deep conversations, sharing with you the women I'm so blessed to know and who inspire me. My name is Dixie Bennett, and I'm your host, and I'm a soulful woman and wealth coach and healer, helping heart-centered entrepreneurial women heal their self-worth, embody their soul purpose, and create sustainable business with heart. I created this platform to highlight amazing women who I come across and connect with, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. And I'm so excited to introduce to you my beautiful, beautiful guest today, Cindy Bleyenberg McCrea, and our topic today is, holy shit, I've got cancer. As a woman, mother, and registered nurse, Cindy spent most of her time taking care of others. Gradually, she began to feel that her body was betraying her. No matter what she tried, she could not lose weight and suffered from unrelenting body pain. Insomnia and awful panic attacks became her constant companions. These issues all paled by comparison to that day in April 2018, just before her 60th birthday, the day she got the news. Cindy, you've got breast cancer. Through Cindy's journey, she's discovered the miracle connection of the body, mind, and spirit, and the importance of emotional healing. Thank you so much for being here, Cindy.
Well, thank you for giving me the chance to do this.
You're so welcome. Well, I'm delighted that we could get together and come together in conversation today. So tell me, where are you located in the world today?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada right now.
Where would you like to be?
Actually, I don't mind being here, despite all this stuff with the outside world going, berserk with COVID and stuff. I find with this journey that I have been on, really learning to use my imagination and kind of drawing on places that I have been already and pulling in the feeling of being there. It's really a beautiful, powerful ability that I am so happy I have learned to draw on.
And so where has your imagination taken you?
Mexico, the Bahamas, Ontario. My family lives in Ontario, and there's some really beautiful places that I've been there that just, warm my heart and fill me with joy and love and connection. Mm-hmm. So it's, generally those places that, even going to the mountains, the thought of going for a hike in the mountains and being in the trees, and I love forest bathing now that I recognize that's exactly what I'm doing. It's like, oh, okay, let's just get some of this on me here. So pretty much places that I've been before. And then sometimes just looking at a picture and kind of going, I wonder what it would be like to be there. And then just really letting my imagination kind of do its thing.
That sounds so cool. Have you done do you do any like theme parties or like actual changing and dressing up or changing your attire in your home to accommodate that imagination?
Oh,
or is
no.
it really imagination?
No, just kind of doing the imagination. And then, of course, there's sometimes that you've got, say, a rock or sand or a plant or something that reminds you of the place. So to do a full-on outside, if I think of Mexico and bringing in a whole bunch of Mexican decorations and stuff, no, not really. But there are certain things, like just little souvenir pieces that you can just look at it and kind of go right into it and bring the space around you, which is really kind of cool. Like I love living in cartoon or animation, and so looking at it and going into that and feeling the humidity and the smells, bringing in all the great scents that are around you and stuff, and then kind of every once in a while you throw a bug in. Not often, but every once in a while you let the bug come in. Or the thing that I absolutely love doing was snorkeling. Just that sense of floating. It's the most you can do as a human being in the gravitational pole,
Mhm.
to be able to just float at the surface with a snorkel in your mouth and just laying there and lapping in the water and watching what's underneath you. So
Mhm.
that too is a very freeing feeling. And of course, we've got pictures of us having gone to Hawaii and snorkeled with turtles, and just feeling that excitement, like, oh my goodness, I'm in the water with this 400-pound
Mhm.
leatherback and the kind of thing. So yeah, it's
That
cool,
is
cool
so
stuff.
cool. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually
Well, and the
found that.
important thing,
Go ahead. Yeah.
sorry,
No, go
well,
ahead.
the important thing, knowing that we've got so much ability to bring in the, even though you're kind of in one physical place, to be able to transport yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I have, in the last couple of years, specifically after this diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
um, to really sit there and work with my mind and to bring in the feeling and the emotions. Because as I've learned, all of this that has been going on with me on a physical level has been an inside job,
Mm-hmm.
which really, so coming to that realization was very powerful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been on quite the journey since I've known you, and specifically more so in those last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so your life has been, you've definitely gone through massive transitions. Would you?
Oh, yes. Well, the thing that got me on this transition in the first place, it was a February. And do you remember when we started to work together? Was that 2016?
I can't remember the year exactly.
So, like, it
But
was about
yes,
4 or 5
it would
years
have
ago
been, yeah, it would have been 4 or 5-ish, probably four
ish
or five
years.
years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so just before, within that time frame as well, I was in my kitchen. It was a dark February day. You know how we have very short hours, and I'm in my kitchen, and I have this plant, and I'm doing dishes, and then all of a sudden, something compelled me to go look over at this vine that I have in a planter,
Hmm.
and I looked over, and there is this butter yellow butterfly in February
Right.
sitting there, and I'm looking at it like, well, where'd you
Wow.
come from?
Yeah.
That's what the heck? What's that all about?
Right.
Didn't think anything about it, and I now I feel really bad that I thought, well, should you be inside or should you be outside? And it was like, sketchy weather. It's
And you put it
February in
outside.
Calgary. I
Oh
put it
no.
outside. Now it's like, oh, I'm sorry that I put you outside. But I didn't get it. It's like, well, that's really unusual. I didn't understand what was going on. So then I happened to mention it to a mutual friend of ours who is very connected to like spirit angels, and like she's
Mhm.
miles ahead of me on this one. And I said, oh, the funniest thing, I found this butter yellow butterfly on this plant. And she just went, and they went, what does that mean? She goes, look up butter, the meaning of, symbolism of butter yellow butterfly.
Mhm.
And so I went, what the heck does that mean? So I looked at it, and it's like, oh, like transformation, change,
Mhm.
metamorphosis. And so at that time, my life was going down the tubes as I knew it. And the butterfly was letting me know, now I get it, was letting me know I am on a journey.
Mhm.
And now it's like, thank you, butterfly. I'm sorry I sent you out into the cold. But obviously, the butterfly was a spirit angel. So they just kind of went and did their own thing then. So at least that's what I'm doing,
I like
to make
that.
me
I
feel
like that
better.
analogy. Yes, we'll stick with that
Yeah,
story.
yeah. It's like, okay, I'm sorry I did that to you, but
Mhm.
you knew what you were doing, and you knew what I was possibly going to do, and I did it, and I'm sorry, but you are okay.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well,
so
even
that's
the
why
energy of
this.
yellow, because the energy of yellow is about vitality.
Oh, see, and I didn't know that. See, and these are the things when these signs are showing up. Now I start to get that curious question, like, well, isn't that interesting? What does that mean? And so, thank goodness for Google and having the iPhone right there. It's like, what does this mean? And to start
Mm-hmm.
getting a little bit of feedback on it. And some of the messages were really clear, and some of them were like, I just don't get it, like,
Right.
what? So it took a while to go get the processing, but I am excited and amazed at the amount of work that I've been doing. Sometimes it was a little in retrospect too forced. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting there, I gotta know, I gotta know, I gotta know, instead of just letting it flow to me and show up and then trusting the message that I got.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yeah.
Powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah, when you start to clue in, when you step out of your own way,
Yes.
and I have been told several times, Cindy, you're a doer. Yes. Um, just be. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now I am happy to report I am better at being.
Well,
There are still,
it's a lifelong journey of learning to be.
yeah,
So I want to go back to
yes.
that journey. So the butterfly that came out in February that
Hmm.
kind of captured your attention, let's say. And you said you were in a time of transition at that time anyway. So what was your big transition at that time?
Well, as you said in my bio, I was struggling with panic attacks and
Mm.
weight gain, unrelenting body pain, insomnia. Like my physical self was falling apart. And it needed to do that because my spiritual self was really trying to get my attention. I
Mhm.
get that now.
Mhm.
So when all this was going on, because I have nursing background, I had gone and done all the diagnostic testing, and it's like, well, everything's normal. I don't know, it's menopause. Just do some more exercise. Just watch what you're eating, so on and so forth. And it's like, well, I knew that already. And then prescription medication was offered to me, and I kind of went, I know it just didn't feel right. There's something more. So I started in the realm of meditation, and that was with Ariana Huffington. She had
Mm.
a
Mhm.
21-day program.
Mhm.
So I was doing that, but I still found that I had quite the monkey brain. It was like I'm sitting there, she's doing her talk, and it's like, oh, this is lovely, but squirrel,
Mhm.
and it's squirrel, and it's like, okay, there's got to be something else for me to be able to get into this space, because it just wasn't happening. So again, I consulted the great Google, and this ad popped up about asking, are you struggling with sleep? Are you craving foods? Do you have body pain that won't leave you alone? Like it was like speaking to me.
Mhm.
So I went, what? Followed that link,
Right.
but it was a program that would take you to where you had to take it in the United States,
Mhm.
which I thought, oh, okay, but it wasn't convenient for me because my kids were still quite young,
Mhm.
and the cost of it and everything. So then I got the download and listened to it. Is it available in Calgary?
Right.
And it was. So 2 weekends later, I was in a workshop learning about EFT, tapping,
Mhm.
acupuncture without the needles.
Mhm.
And even while I was sitting there and this woman was giving me the information, I'm sitting there, it made sense, but my body was like, no, no. But there was a lot of movement going on that
Mhm.
I did not understand then, but now I understand.
Right.
And the very first experience that I had took me with going through the tapping. She took me back to a childhood event that was really upsetting to me, and we cleared it. And after that, I stopped chewing my nails. I was eating better. I could sleep better. So it taught me that I was holding on to a lot of childhood upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so blown away by that. I had to know more. And it's like, wow, this is very powerful stuff. So yeah, that kind of helped me understand more of the spiritual, emotional mind part of this physical entity that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so from that, then I just continued to go for further training and information and connection, and it brought me, to come work with you to open me up more. And God bless you for trying so hard. Yeah, and it's just been a continual learning experience and discovery of who the heck am I, because I recognize women in my demographic are holding on to so much of the "you're not worth it, you're not smart, you're never going to amount to anything, you need to depend on a man for your um, uh, safety and security, the only thing you'll amount to is being a mother," and like, not to downplay being a mother,
Mm-hmm.
but it showed me how much our culture plays in how we come up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of having that, learning through other means, like through psychology classes and so forth, how the brain and the body hold on to trauma and adverse childhood experiences. And then on top of that, not only is it this lifetime, but the stuff that has happened up to that they can measure 7 generations back.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom and dad were immigrants from Belgium. They were part of the World War II group.
Right.
Their mom and dads were World War One, and then whatever the wars were, I
Crazy.
thought I don't even want to go any further back.
Right.
So my mom and dad were extremely anxious, and now I understand what all the dysfunction was about in
Mm-hmm.
our lives. And it was really interesting because even today, my mom, she's 92, and we were having a chat, and something compelled her to tell me about a story when she was a young girl, about grade 6, and um, a woman, the bombers were coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and a woman saw her and said, come in here. And so she ducked in with her. She was supposed to be at a school,
Mm-hmm.
and the woman pulled her, and I said, do you realize that woman was an angel for you? Because if she'd have gone to the school, she would have been dead,
Oh,
because the
wow.
school got bombed and whoever was in there was killed. And
Right.
I just said, that journal that I gave you? This is the kind of stuff I want you to write down. These are
Right.
big memories for you. So
Mm-hmm.
mom and dad had these traumas,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing what to do with it kind of brought that anxiety onto us. And then I, unbeknownst, but beknownst now, if that's a word, that I handed that to my kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like poop. So what I'm finding is that because I finally woke up to energy and the understanding of how we process information, that I'm the one that wants to stop the loop here. It
Mm-hmm.
stops with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm hoping that, like, I talk to my girls, they're in their 20s now, and it's like, if I see something, it's like, okay, so just to let you know, I probably handed you that, and it's up to you to get rid of it. And there's different ways that you can do it. You got to decide. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So all I do is keep planting that seed.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to it than meets the eye.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just wait and see.
Yes.
Planting, nurture,
Planting future
grow,
seeds. Yes.
sprinkle.
I love that. It's interesting that you gave your mom a journal. Has your mom been filling it in at all, or?
No, and I think it would work out so much better if she could just talk and somebody was writing it down. She lives in Ontario,
Right.
and now with the travel restrictions and stuff, I would really like it, and I'll have to get a hold of my sister and to ask her to record
Yes, I was just gonna say,
mom's
what if they
stories.
just recorded? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Because I think
Because
it's
these,
important because I find that like that generation won't write things down. I know I tried to
no,
give journals to my grandmothers too, and
yeah.
they wouldn't. I got them both back after they had passed, and my one grandmother actually sat down, but she just kind of wrote down some key dates. You know, so and so got married, this happened, that happened, but nothing.
Yeah.
You know, those are the important things that they focus on and like to remember. But I used to
Well,
say,
and I think it's too much trauma for them to go through
mhm,
by themselves, and it would be safer for them. Because I said to mom, I said, okay, you just told me this story. How do you feel? And
mhm,
she goes, oh, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, this is pretty big stuff. So my understanding through learning about EFT and the trauma process that we go through is that we will either go into fight or flight or freeze. And mom probably has it encapsulated in a
mhm,
spot that she can talk about it, but she doesn't want to feel
mhm.
like it, she goes numb.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, it happened. What am I supposed to do with it?
Mhm,
Now, knowing what she has gone through, there have been patterns that I noticed in her, like in our interactions together through our lifetime, that it's like now I get it. Before I used to think, oh, you're just mad at me, or you think I'm stupid or whatever. But it was what she perceived, and I took it on as mine, but she didn't know how to process that information.
mhm, mhm,
And now that she's 92, she has done tapping, and she does, like when she
mhm,
starts getting her neck and headache pains and stuff, she
mhm,
has done tapping around that. And but it's not a regular process. But the really cool thing is, mom, for as long as I can remember, people would call mom a witch.
mhm.
She could use those little, the little tree branch thing and hold it,
The
and
dowsers.
what do you call
Hmm.
it? The
Yeah,
switch.
dowsing.
It was a switch, but she did. Yeah, I didn't know the word dowser was, but
Hmm.
she could find water, and then and people would call her a witch. And then once I got into the realm of energy, I got a hold of her and I said, by the way, do you remember when they said this to you? She
Hmm.
goes, yeah. And I said, you weren't really I said, well, maybe you were a witch, but you were more of a healer.
Hmm.
You were more spiritual, and you were more connected than other people were, or other people were allowing them to be. And she had to suppress a lot of her.
Hmm.
So, and I said, the reason why I know is, I said, I'm coming out. I'm
Hmm.
pulling the veil aside, and I'm coming out.
And did you have any
So,
connection with your mom, like further connection? Did she share any more
oh,
about her
we
past
still, yeah,
experiences? Or?
well, she's letting me know that she gets regular visitations, like from our deceased, her son, my brother,
Hmm.
and my dad, her husband.
Hmm.
And she said that she's been getting, somebody's been visiting her that's wearing perfume. And I said, well, do you ask who it is? And she goes, no. And I went, yeah, just ask who is it.
Hmm.
And wait, because they're trying to connect with you. You can tell they're there now. And I said, the only reason why I know this is other people are telling me to do the same thing, and it's working.
Yeah.
For those people that have this knowledge, I'm open to it. Like anytime anybody's talking about energy, I'm just sitting there like, what? Tell me more. Tell me more.
Hmm.
I need to know more. And yeah, so that's kind of cool that we have that connection, because for many years there was a massive disconnection. I was so lost in space, because God bless my parents, what they went through while they were growing up in Belgium. Then they immigrated to the States and to Canada, and all the turmoil that they carried with them glommed onto the five of us kids. And now I can recognize it. But at the time, and the only way they could deal with it was through alcohol.
Hmm.
So growing up in a dysfunctional alcoholic household,
Hmm.
it's like, what is going on? And as a kid, you think it's your fault.
Right.
But then now knowing what I know, it's like, oh, forgiveness all over the place. I'm sorry I held on to that. I'm sorry, whatever it was that I triggered you on that I didn't understand how to, assist in clearing that. Not that it was mine to clear, but to not hold on to it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing, because as I have learned, getting this cancer diagnosis, I was holding on to, and I still know I've got some stuff, because the cancer's still floating around in my system, and the tumor is still sitting there. And it's just giving it nothing but absolute love. When it starts to do any sensations, it's like, oh dear, what's up? What do you need? Am I thinking something in the back of my mind that isn't right, and you're trying to get my attention? Knock it off, or change your thought. And so that is so empowering. And the beautiful thing, like with tapping, it is a physical action that brings on the calming in your body, and which allows for clarity of thinking. And now I get it, to open myself up more to be able to receive messages from beyond, further beyond. And I know I was lamenting with some friends, oh, you guys are so good at this. Like all of a sudden you'll just see somebody go, wait, just a minute. And it's like they're listening for something. So-and-so wants to say blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, I want to be able to do that. And so I'm on my way.
You're on your way. So
I had a really cool, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You had a really cool what?
I had this really cool thing happen. There's been this one doctor that I have been following for several years now. And I said to my guides this morning, and I'm feeling safe enough to say my guides, because I've been getting more and more information, and it's like, just trust it, because you asked, here it is. So I said, could you just give me a sign that I need to contact this person, and make it so blatant that there's no confusion whatsoever, because you know how I like to take things and whirl them around and say, no, that can't be true. So I went out for a dog walk, and then when I came back, the car that pulled up beside me, the license plate had the name of the doctor on it.
No way.
And I'm looking at it like, I should have taken a picture of it. I should have taken a picture.
Yeah, well, you got your clear sign.
Got the message. And I'm sitting there like, okay, so you did that one. Can you give me another one? So, yeah. I will be calling this individual. Yeah. And there's been other ones too, like since learning how angels and spirits try to connect with us through numbers, or animals being bugs or whatever being in the most unusual places. Like, what the heck is that doing there? And then you kind of go, oh, who's there? You're a sign. You're trying to get to me. You're trying to let me know. So yeah, learning to reframe that is really kind of cool.
Powerful.
And fun now.
So even with the last couple of years, so having the diagnosis and working through this, what have you been learning about yourself through this process?
Oh, that I really need to learn how to love me first, because it was one of those things, in order to feel loved or accepted, I always gave. And it was, I would never receive. It's like, no, I don't need that. I'm enough of my own. And then I recognized that this situation it's important for you to receive. It's important to have more balance in that it's not just like you deplete yourself. And I was so depleted, and my body let me know, you're depleted. And so I tried other things like overeating, drinking too much. And then my body just said, no, you're not listening yet. So just to boil it down to a really concise answer, pretty much it. And there's still times that I don't know, I've done a lot of mirror work. You look in the mirror, oh my goodness. in tapping, you say a statement like, even though I got this pain in my butt, I still love and accept myself. I couldn't say the words I love and accept myself. And I thought, and honestly, it was a physical repulsion that would happen. It was like, okay, come on now. What is that? And it took, and I'm tapping. Okay, just a minute. What is this? Oh, it took some doing, and then finally I get the love out, and then it took a little bit more to get the accept myself. And now I can do that. And so I know I've gotten a lot of layers out of the way, but there's still a few that are, Klingons, I would imagine. And once my system feels safe enough to release more of that, then I'll be able to get like the full meal deal healing that I'm looking for.
Yeah. Wow. So the love one is a hard one. I know I really struggled with that one too for a long time. It took me 6 months. It was the Louise Hayes practice of looking at the mirror and looking yourself deep in the eyes and saying, hello, hello, I love you, right? And it was really hard. It took literally about 6 months, and everybody's at different stages and different places.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate. The healing is learning to love thyself.
Yeah. Is it selfish or no? What's the other word? Self-centered. If you say, "I love myself," which, like, my favorite statement is, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can assist anybody else. So by being able to say, "I love and accept myself," my foundation is strong enough to be able, and my cup would runneth over, where I would have enough to be able to assist others as they come up to the same level. So yeah, it's big. Our society is so lacking in loving self, and it's showing up in so many ways that we know and have seen that it's just a big exercise in healing.
How has this journey that you've been on changed your family? Has there been any shifts or growth especially with your mom still being alive, having conversations with her about how
That's been that's been really, really good. And like my immediate family, my husband, he's just kind of, okay, I'll let you do what you want to do. Keep doing it. He's a very linear thinker, although he did dabble in tapping when he had some dental work done. And when his mom was going in for a procedure, I said, she needs you to be there for her in an energetic way, not just a son that sits there with his fingers on his phone. She needs you to be there. And I talked to her ahead of time, just do the tapping points. It'll help you to calm down, and you're going to get good results with that. And so, yeah, they did. They actually did that. And she said she felt so much calmer, and the results were better than she expected. And so, yeah. My older daughter, she did do the 3-day certification level 1 and 2, and she uses tapping, and plus she also works with a EFT practitioner as her coach, counselor kind of thing. And my other daughter, no, she's like, yeah. And I think possibly, most probably, it's because I may have come on like a fire hose. You have to do this because I know what's going on with you, and I know how you have to do it. So it could have been my enthusiasm that might have just, messed that up a little bit. But, she's on her journey, and she's a great mirror for me, because if there's any things that are going on between us, it's like, isn't that interesting? I'm feeling triggered by that right now. What is it that I could look at to heal that?
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing, when you come into contact with somebody that is constantly pushing your buttons. That's the time to go and reflect and go, give me a minute. I gotta go see what's going on in here and see what I can do to clear it. that's the beautiful power that I find in all this. So, you know, with the diagnosis, you have to go in for gazillion tests, and oh my goodness, God bless the medical system. I am, you know, I do have my registered nursing certificate and stuff. And some of the stuff that the medical people are saying, I'm just like, wow, you're just not trauma informed.
Mm,
What you just said, like, oh, you got crappy veins, you know, like they're the only veins I got. How can they be
right.
crappy? You know,
Yeah.
when it's like, okay, your veins are going to be a little challenging,
Right.
and I'm going to do this and this and this to see if we can assist you. Because as soon as you say something is negative towards an individual, say a patient,
Hmm.
well, their nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze, and then, you know, of course the veins are going to go hiding.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things that I do to fortify myself before going in for any health diagnostic testing, to
Hmm.
stay as calm. And even while I'm having any of the diagnostic testing, like when you're going into the tube of the MRI, it's a loud machine. They put this dye in your body. You feel like you're going to pee yourself.
Hmm.
And I'm just sitting there tapping, like your hands are above your head. And I'm just, you can do finger tapping. You don't have to do the full body tapping.
Right.
And just talking to myself, okay, everything is fine. It's information. Find out what the information is, course correct as you need.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would be doing the
Hmm.
thing, and now it's like, okay, let's figure this out.
Hmm. I like that.
So,
Course correct as you need. So, where in your past life, like well, through the journey that you've had up until this point, where have you had other kind of emptying out moments where you really had to shift or to kind of leave everything that you knew and start again?
hmm, can't really think of a. Well, no, I guess it's the time that I woke up, because I recognize that I've gone into nursing burnout twice.
Hmm.
Um, like when we moved from Toronto to Calgary in 1996, it's like, that's it. I'm never going to go into nursing again. I've had it, you know, meh, done, finito, burned out. Eh. I'm going to be the best stay-at-home mom. Blah, blah, blah. And then once the kids got old enough and didn't really need me anymore, I got that draw to go back into nursing. I want to be that helping McHelperton individual. I got to
Hmm.
go back. And not recognizing at the time that I hadn't done the work to heal myself,
Hmm.
because then I just drag myself through the same kind of behaviors and thought processes that I had done before.
Hmm.
And I burned out again.
Right.
And then this time was when I really got the physical issues,
Hmm.
um, which shortly after that gave me this diagnosis. So it's like, you know, it's great that you can do the armchair quarterbacking and kind of go, yeah, okay, here we are. And then you look and you go, wow, if I'd have known that I could start clearing some of that out, then my decisions would have been different. But then again,
They weren't.
this is my journey.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is my journey, none of us have control over diddly squat. Well, I
Hmm.
have control of whatever the heck I put in my mouth. I have control over the thoughts that I have. But and the thing that really got me to come into a calmer state of mind was, if God wants me, then you know, God, spirit, quantum, whoever your higher power source is. So I better get myself like straight and get the job done that I came here to do in the first place.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that kind of comes to mind is, I was supposed to go on this journey so that I could very possibly share it with other people and say, well, this is how I started to unravel me. Do you want to start unraveling yourself and rebuilding?
Hmm.
So I'm in the state of rebuilding.
Hmm. So what would you say your
Yeah.
purpose is?
Probably just sharing, be curious, keep asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
and recognize that you've got more healing power in you than you recognize, that you
Mm-hmm.
believe. Because even though I worked in the medical system, and you're watching these clients come in, and it's like when they come back in for their tests or whatever, and they haven't made any changes, and it's like, what's going on? And then it's like, wait a minute, I'm not making any changes. What's going on? And then recognizing that it's time to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
that there's more that we can do for ourselves. And it can be a really tough road to do on your own.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a great tapping community that I'm part of, and we meet regularly so that if there's anything that's going on, we can tap and we help, because generally speaking, everybody's got the same issues,
Mm-hmm.
just at varying levels or intensities. And it's just that, know that there is still more than going when you go and see a doctor and they give you a diagnosis, and this is it, and no, you don't have to make any changes. That, and it's not to slam them, because that's how they were trained. I was trained like that. But then there's still something burning, yearning inside of me. And it took me getting sick to really sit down and pay attention and get busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, yes, yes, you did. Um, I think, well, one of the things that we talked about was 8-year cycles. So one of the things that you recognized in your past is that you always have these 8-year cycles, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about your 8-year cycles and what does that mean for you?
Yeah. Well, when the first job I had out of high school, I was there for about 8 years, and I would just keep putting up with stuff, unhappy, but trying to find my way out. But I kind of felt like I was in a bubble and kept hitting the walls, and it's like, I can't get out of this. Why can't I get out of this? And then, thankfully, the most amazing thing happened when I was getting into nursing. Finally, I got this spark, like, oh, I want to try nursing. This looks like a fabulous opportunity. And when I applied to nursing, there was so many people that were applying at the same time that, nope, you're on a wait list. It's not going to happen. Okay, fine. And then finally, just like the last day that you could register, somebody called and said, so here's the thing. We have an opening. If you want to come, you have to have your money, into us. So I had to drive 20 minutes to half an hour to get into the city to give them my check, because that's when you had to do checks. There was no
Great.
e-transfer, and and you're in. And I'm sitting there like, what? So, and again, not getting any understanding that there's any outside assistance on this. So that got me into nursing. So then I was working, I got my training done, and I went to work at a hospital in Toronto, and I was there for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot, step back. So the first job I had was in a factory up to 8 years. Then the next job I had was in nursing at the specific hospital for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was almost 8 years-ish when I did, like, I went, that's it, I'm done, raising the kids, stay-at-home mom. And then it's like, okay, got to go back. So got reinstated, my license reinstated, and then another 8 years at this one place. And in my mind, I always said, after 5 years, you must go out someplace else.
Right.
Didn't do it. Don't know why. Don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I'll ever know why. And then I just went into burnout again.
Right.
So that's what got me into, like, about this timeline. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is there a significance with 8 years, You would know.
Well, I mean, we all have different cycles. I'm not totally, I think it's just a recognition for you that you have an 8-year cycle. I mean, it's 7-year. There's lots of different types of cycles, like through numerology, there's cycles through our
Yeah,
astrology, there's all kinds of cycles. We have the cycle of 1 to 9, living in our
yeah,
numerology cycle. Um,
right.
but I think it's so important to actually look back at, if we can identify that cycle and theme, that's yours. So it's really important for you to recognize what is it about that 8-year cycle for you. So it would actually probably go back to birth even, from 1 to 8, and then 8
Oh,
to 16. So if you go even just now, like if you're aware of that 8-year cycle, go into try and figure it out from where you are now, and then kind of work backwards. So if you're
oh, okay.
so where would you say you're at in your 8-year cycle right now?
I think midway before.
So about 4 years into the cycle. So yeah, so I would go back, so start counting back and see where your 8-year cycle actually shows up in your age, like going back to childhood.
Yeah.
Because there's usually the reason a cycle keeps continuing is because it's something that usually started it could have started in the womb, it could have started in real time from birth.
Right.
So it could have been conception, birth, there's so many different contributing factors in there.
Dang. And I'm just getting used to the others, figuring out the other stuff.
We don't have time to dive into that part today. But definitely, and everybody's I've revisited 12-year cycles. I've revisited 15-year cycles. And just looking at certain themes that have popped up in my life. So it would be interesting to
Mm,
look at the theme of burnout because that seems to be your time of tapping out is that 8 years,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? So you're pushing
yeah,
through, even though you said, I'm going to give myself 5 years, but then you found yourself at 8 years. So there's
yeah.
definitely a deeper message there for you to look at.
Hmm. Okay,
Hmm.
cool.
More,
Yay.
more homework to do, but it is
More
important
growing.
yes, but I think it's for everybody. If we can
Yeah.
recognize some of those themes and start tracking them back, they will show up. Be awesome today. I love it.
That you gave it to me.
I recognize the cup. That's awesome. Um, I wanted one of the key things that we talked about, you talked about one of your key things you didn't bring up yet was about clowning. So, at what point did clowning, because it played an important part in your life, and
Hmm.
what was that?
Well, well, um, again, when you look back at your life, because there was so much turmoil when I was growing up, one of the things that I would do would be the clown of the family. I was the clown in class and so forth. And what it did was allowed for diffusion of the anger or dark um, energy that was going on. And in order to feel loved and accepted, I would don a clown costume and mask and go and entertain at birthday parties. And so the song Tears of a Clown, would uh, come up. And my heroes when growing up were like Carol Burnett, Red Skelton, Robin Williams, and Jim Carrey, all those comedians. But then when you look back at what their life was like, it was, their behavior was sort of born out of not feeling loved
Mm,
and not knowing, and of course, who knew to love yourself?
mm,
Because that's how we're built, is that when you're younger, you are looking for outside. You don't have enough knowledge to look from the inside, or
Mhm.
give it to yourself.
Right.
So yeah, and I ended up going with my brother and then sister-in-law down to Texas, and we did a week-long clown college, learned how to do the makeup and costume and how to do balloon animals and entertain at birthday parties
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. And it was the one thing that was really quite amazing. One place that I was at, there was this beautiful little child and had the most amazing afro, and they were just so drawn to me, like this. And the mom and dad looked and went, I said, okay, if she hugs you, and I went, absolutely. So comes in, I said, hi, my name's Rainbow, and they went, no, what? How'd you know her name was Rainbow? I went, what? I said, no, my name's Rainbow. And they went, no, her name's Rainbow. So there was these two rainbows that were together. So, and like this little kid was just mesmerized by me. Well, didn't that fill my cup up to, full? And then it was really kind of funny. And other things, when incidences, I would always wear white gloves. But when I was twisting the balloon animals, I couldn't get the feel for it, so I would pull the gloves off, and these kids were like, oh, and I went, what? And they're like, you're human. And I went, uh-huh. So it was there was a facade. I had a facade this whole time.
Right.
So still working on taking away the facade, taking away the curtain to be able to, and I'm still trying to figure out who the authentic me is. She's on her way. She likes to have fun, but to do it in a way that is fulfilling for me as well as the other people that I'm with. And I'm surrounded more and more by those people because I can trust myself to pick the right individuals to be hanging around.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, yeah. Oh my goodness, that was when you think about it, it's like, okay.
So where was the rainbow in your 8-year cycle?
That would have been in my 20s.
You don't have to answer that right now, but just something, maybe something to.
Yeah, no.
How
Yeah,
long,
no,
how long were
that's,
you a clown for?
wait a minute, maybe I was 18, maybe. Anyway, um, well, technically, I've always been the clown, a clown. But professionally, I only did it for a couple of years because I had a full-time job, and then to give up my weekends to do birthday parties and stuff was like I was a young female that no, I want to go out and party. Kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so funny when I was at a RV boat show thing one time, and I just happened to be talking to this captain of a long boat, whatever, and but I'm in clown, and he looks at me and he says, "Oh, have you ever kissed a clown before?" And I looked at him and I said, "Oh yeah, I've kissed a lot of clowns before." Looking him right in the eye, like, forget it, buddy.
That's funny.
This clown don't do that.
I love it. Well, I mean, I love your energy. I love your attitude, and I love your approach to life because that's one thing I've always known about you is that you do know how to laugh and that you do know how to make things a little bit lighter. And I would say that's absolutely one of your gifts. And just as we're just coming up to the end of our time, do you have any last minute, any advice or especially, navigating through the unknown of, well, cancer or any other challenges that we go through life? What would you say is some advice that you'd like to share?
Well, I've learned to be more in the moment for sure. When I recognize that I've got a crappy thoughts, stinking thinking going on. It's like, what is going on here? And find and make sure I've got tools, preset tools available. So whether that be fake laughing, because it's just ridiculous when you start to do that, and then you start to really laugh. Get outside, get grounded, call a friend, put on music that you know is just going to instantly bring your vibration up, and just find that and ride it. Be right there in the moment. Forget about worrying what's in the front. Forget about what's behind. Look right here and now. Okay, look around the room, get grounded. I am safe right here, right now. And but I'm worried about something, then get somebody to help you move the worry out of the way. Because as soon as you go into worry, it has this whole cascade of hormones and chemicals and enzymes that can keep you spinning out of control. And what you want to do is be able to bring back that calm. And that's why I love tapping so much, is because it's, as soon as I start to feel that, I can just start tapping and go, okay, here I go again. I've got the sensation in my body and it's really not feeling good. And then it will shift faster. And the more often you do that, it's like when you start a workout regimen, you know, you're going to have those aches and pains. You do little increments of that and just do it throughout the day. And I love doing tapping first thing in the morning when I get up to set me for a good day. And then I do it before I go to sleep at night, because you just don't know what has happened that you have ignored because you're so used to going, nah, that didn't bother. And I just kind of talking like a prayer, even though I've been in contact with so-and-so, and maybe I noticed that I was upset by what they did, may have released that energy, so I may have a restful sleep, bring on the healing in my body, and trust that I'm being looked after.
Right.
And learn to love yourself.
Learn to love yourself.
Keep practicing looking in the mirror. I love you. I forgive all the crap I took on that wasn't mine. I forgive all those people that gave me that crap, and I accept it. There's a really lovely statement that I've come across. It's almost like the Serenity Prayer, very similar to the Serenity Prayer. That it just really brings up all those things like, oh, okay, so-and-so did that to me today. Oh, I got a little bit of a trigger. Let's tap until that can be released. Because we can't stop the crap from coming at us. It's how we hold on to it. And it's like, release the electrical charge of the emotion. It just is, that happened, but it's not going to affect me in a negative way anymore.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, as always.
That was awesome. Thank
you. And yeah, so we're coming to the end, and you know, I'm gonna put a link. There'll be a link in the show notes just down below, underneath the video. And you know, as always, you know, so much fun and so much entertainment. And thanks for watching. I hope you found some value. Please share it out, post your comments, you know, give us some likes if you like that. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updated information. And if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, come join into my Facebook group, Inspired Women Gathering. And until next time, you know, we'll just continue to bring hope, light, and love into the world. And we'll talk to you soon. Abundant love.